everyone, Kevin here. Today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on your C6 Corvette. So basically everything you need to change the oil is here. So you need an oil catch pan. You're going to need a funnel basically to pour the oil back in your car. You need a filter. You're going to need some oil. And I use Mobile One. People can use whatever they like based on preference, but I use Mobile One, what's recommended. I usually use a Mobile One filter, but I also use Rams as well. You need some rags. You're going to need a 13 mil wrench, and you're going to need a pair of oil filter pliers. And I use a little dolly to scoot under my car. My car is jacked up already. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. But that's it. Let's get to it, and I'll show you guys how to change your oil. Okay. First thing I'm going to do after I have my car jacked up and everything like that is I open up the oil cap. Reason is it's just to allow air to go down. I take it, I just move it to the side. I don't worry about things dropping in there because I know better than put anything near it. You just want to make sure nothing falls in there or anything like that when you have it off. And the next step is we're going to crawl under the car and take a look at removing the oil filter and the drain plug. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put the oil pan under there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to crack the drain plug. And after you do that, you're going to take the drain plug out. Make sure your oil pan's right underneath it. So that way you're catching it all. And then you're just going to let it drain. So you're going to let all the oil drain out. Get your drain plug. Some people will have a magnetic plug. I don't. So some people have a magnetic drain plug. They'll look for little metal shavings on the end of it, see if it's catching anything or anything like that. Usually what I'll do is I'll look in the oil just to see if anything's there. But for the most part, that's pretty much all you have to do. Let it drain out. It'll take a couple minutes to drain out. And the next step, we'll pull off the oil filter. Okay, while I've been waiting, I basically clean off the bolt or the drain plug. So that way it's all clean and everything. And I also look at, if you look inside the drain plug, there's a little gasket inside there. So I also check that to make sure it's okay while I'm doing this. As you can see, it's almost drained. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the oil filter. So for that I use my oil wrench. Oil filter wrench. And then basically just kind of crack it a bit. Screw it, and then this is going to leak out, hence the gloves I wear. And then what I do is I just put that over on the little drain. And I'll grab one of those rags now and clean up my hand. And so I'll let this drain for a couple minutes, make sure all the oil's out and everything like that. And the reason it's taking so long for everything to drain out, because my car is actually, the oil's not that hot. I just warmed it up a little bit just to make sure the oil's flowing. So basically the oil's down to a drip now. So what I'm going to do is I got my drain plug cleaned, drain plug bolt cleaned. And I'm going to clean up this oil right here. Right. And then basically what I'm going to do is put it back in. So then before I tighten it up, clean the oil around it. And then I'll wipe off any residue of oil around it. Take my wrench, I'll tighten it back up a bit. I just tighten it a bit this way, not too much. So it's not going to come out. Then what I'm going to do is take the same rag and I'm going to clean up all the oil around. All the oil dripping off. Okay, so I'll grab a clean rag, clean off a little bit more of it, clean this off.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your filter and you're going to grab some fresh oil. And on it, you're going to put a little bit of the clean oil on the gasket that's on your filter. And also what you're going to do is you're going to check to make sure that the old gasket off the old filter is not stuck here. Because sometimes what happens is it'll separate in between the filter and it'll stick to the housing. And you don't want that. So basically that's all you do. Put a little bit of fresh oil on it, grab it, and you're going to screw it on. And that's it. And then hand tighten it. This has a grip on it, so it's easy to hand tighten. And then what I do is I crank it on. There. So it's on nice and tight, hand tight as you can get it. If you're not confident with your hand tight, you can use your filter wrench and just give it a little tight. And then I move the drain pan out of the way. I grab my wrench again. I make sure this is tight. And it is. And what I'll do is I'll spray some cleaner here and I'll take off the oil stain as well, because I like to make sure when I'm under here I look to see if any oil's leaking anywhere. And if you leave this oil here, it'll leave resin stains and things like that. I like to make sure it's all nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that, and then I'll show you guys the rest of it. Okay, so I've cleaned it all off. I use basically it's a citrus-based oil cleaner, so it's not a corrosive or a chemical. And as you can see, it took off 99.9% of the oil, so that way if it is leaking or anything, I'll see stain marks from it, and it's not stain marks from me changing my oil. So basically that's what I did, and I cleaned all around and I wiped it, so it's kind of drying at the moment. So once it's dry, it'll all go to a natural color, and that way it just makes it easier to detect if you have an oil leak. Okay, let's move on to the next step.
Okay, so now we're going to fill it up. So basically, you're going to need a funnel, you're going to need a rag, and you're going to need 5.2 liters of oil, or 5.5 quarts if you're in the US. And basically, you're going to start filling it up. Okay, so you're going to be doing this literally 5.5 times, or depends on if it quarts, 5.2 times. You're basically going to drain it out. So in moist oil containers, it'll have a label on the side of it that'll tell you if you need like 0.2 liters or 0.5 quarts, so that way you get your fraction of it. Basically what I do is I'll fill it up to 5 liters, then I'll check it on the dipstick, and then basically what I'll do is I'll start the car up, I'll get some oil moved around, get it in the oil filter, I'll let the oil sit, and then I'll check it again and top it up. Okay, so let's fill up the rest of the 5 liters and we'll take it from there. Okay, so there it is. There's 5 liters in there right now. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to put the cap back on. We're going to go start the car for 2 seconds, get the oil in the oil filter, get it around a bit, and then we're going to recheck it again. So make sure that you close it up, put the oil fill cap back on. And then the other thing that you're going to do is you're going to look underneath the car after you start the car up as well, just to make sure it's not leaking. Like I said, with missing that little gasket on the filter or anything like that, always take a double check, because it has happened before to me, other people, where if the other gasket stays on, the oil will leak out. So always take a look. As you start it up, you'll see if it's going to blow, it'll blow right away. Okay, so let's go start it up and then we'll top it up. Okay, so you're going to take a quick look underneath after you've ran the car a little bit before you finish topping up the rest of the oil, and just to make sure there's no leaks. So as you can see right now, I have no leaks under here, and now we're going to go and we're going to finish topping up the oil. Okay, so we ran the car for a little bit. We're going to open it up, and we're gonna check. I already know I'm gonna have to put oil in there. So anyways, we're gonna check the oil. So basically, I just pull the dipstick out. I do this so I don't get oil dripping on it. Then I put it back in. And I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna check the oil level. So basically the oil level is right about the halfway mark. So I'm gonna add the 0.2 liters that I need, which for you guys is the US, it'd be about half a quart. So like I said before, on the side of the bottle, it'll show you, and I happen to have, because of my last oil changes, I always have one bottle that I use 2 out of. So on here, it'll indicate that it's almost at 2. So I'm basically gonna pour this whole thing in. So that's 0.2 liters that I poured in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that run down. I'm going to let it drain into the bottom, and then I'm going to check the dipstick again to make sure that it's at the right levels. Okay, so you're going to look and you're going to see that when you flip it around, the oil is almost to the top hole. So when it's finished draining down into the bottom pan, it'll probably hit right about there. So that's it. That's all it takes to change the oil on your C6 Corvette. Please like, share my videos. Take a look around on my channel and you'll actually see a lot more helpful videos as well. Okay, take care.